Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy One Shot Nines back again with another video. If you don't know who I am, I'm Nasir Muhammad. I'm a local DP, filmmaker, cinematographer from Houston, Texas. Shout out all the Screwson fans. But I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm here to do some tips and tricks. Today we're going to talk about something very important, so stay tuned. Boom. All right, today we're going to talk about if you can make good money from the Sony Fx30, right? Because a lot of people talk about the camera. Put the camera down. But let's talk about if you can make good money from the Sony Fx30, because we know that camera is a $17.99 camera just for the body only, and about $2,000, $2,200 US for the whole kit with the XLR ports. I wanted to talk about this because I know a lot of people always talk down on the Fx30 in certain ways. Some people say it's a really good camera, but other people talk about the limitations that the camera have. And to me, I don't think that's very much of a big thing, the limitations that it has, because depending on what kind of work you're doing, I think you can get past a lot of it. So let's talk about it today. Let's break it down and let's learn some stuff in a business way. So in a business way, can you make money with the Sony Fx30? Let's see. So can you make good money with the Sony Fx30? I'm going to answer that question straight out simply. Yes, you can. All right. You can make great money with the Sony Fx30. It is a great beginner friendly camera. It is a great cinematographer's camera. And it's a great camera if you're it's in a price range where you can make some good money back on that camera tenfold and then invest into other cameras. So I honestly say, yes, you can make good money from that camera. If you look at some of the cameras that are in its budget range, you have like the Luminex cameras, the Fuji cameras, the Canon R7. I don't know all these cameras off the top of my head because I didn't buy them, but I know for a fact I was going to buy a Canon R7. You got the Pocket 6K Pro, you got the Pocket 6K, all in the same price bracket range. I know you got the A7 IV and all the other cameras, but if you're strictly a shooter, you know, a video shooter, you got like the Blackmagic cameras that are like killer. I own a Blackmagic camera for sure. But in this price range, you really can't beat the quality that you get out of this camera. I personally love the form factor. I love the top handle XLR ports. Even though I don't have it, I love the fact that you can do it. I love some of the full features like HDMI ports that are full size. You have USB-C charging. You have, input and output mic, headphone jacks. Certain mirrorless cameras don't have that kind of stuff. But you have all these different things. You got digital zoom in, like in the camera, on the front of your camera. So most of these things I actually use when I'm working. So yes, you can make great money with the Sony FX30. I've put it in my prices where you can rent me out for a lot cheaper than you could if you're using the Blackmagic cameras or a Red camera. Any cameras that I actually work with or own, you can use me for a lot cheaper if you just need a run and gun shoot, social media job, something super easy. And I've made more money with this camera than I probably have with the rest of my cameras, or being on set, because I'm able to say yes to a lot of other jobs. And we're going to go in deeply on that topic, on what kind of jobs I've taken, how do you get these kind of jobs? But I would say, yes, you can make some really good money with this camera. So continuously, use this camera, buy this camera. If you're looking to buy it, I would grab it immediately. I was actually looking to buy this camera before I bought my Blackmagic 6K, but it was on back order. And I really wanted the 6K because I'm a cinematographer. I know I'm a videographer as well, but I'm a cinematographer, and I really like messing with lighting, messing with certain things, not having autofocus all the time. And I was using the camera I'm using right now, which is the Canon M6 Mark II. And I was just tired of super small mirrorless cameras. I wanted a big package. I wanted a big camera, so I ended up going with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinematic Camera 6K Pro. Somebody gave it to me, or I bought it for $2,000 or $2,500. But I got the battery pack, a whole bunch of stuff for about $2,000 on Facebook. It was used, so I went and grabbed it over the FX30. But I pivoted back to getting the FX30 because there are so many features in this camera that I really thought were super strong and I really wanted to try out. I've never been a Sony guy. I never liked Sony. I never liked the Sony colors. I've always been a Canon guy. I've always been a Red guy. I've always been a Blackmagic guy. But this camera and its features for what it is, for what it does, it's amazing. So I went ahead and bought it, and I really loved it, and I continuously love it to this day. I'm actually probably gonna buy another one, but I love this camera, and I don't know what I would be doing if I didn't have it. I know I'll probably be rigging out my 6K all the time in different scenarios, but I keep this camera fully rigged out, like fully rigged out. But it's able to do so much. I could put it on a gimbal. Like I got a job just hopped up on Friday, where I gotta put it on a gimbal and rock it all day. I don't know if I'll be able to do that with get it with this camera. This camera doesn't have anything but rails on it right now, and it's already probably like 6 pounds. So just to answer that question, yes, you can make some great money. I've made it. We're going to talk about in detail what kind of jobs are taken, and we're going to teach you how to do it. So let's do it. Also note that I'm kind of going off the cuff. I'm not going off any, scripts or anything. My channel is just for filmmakers, videographers, cinematographers, guys who's looking to learn, who's looking to actually talk to some guys who vent. There's some suggestions of some guys who actually talk like that are not just YouTube-y, scripty guys. So I'm going to actually put them in the description because I really appreciate those guys and being off the cuff, talking as a cinematographer, helping us with our niches, helping us grow and helping us move. So I just want to put that in here as well, that I will be going off the cuff a lot. So if I jump, I'm sorry, but you're here to learn. I'm here to teach you, not at the best teacher status, but I'm here to teach you something. So hopefully you get a little something from this video. Okay, first category is why people say you can't make money with this camera. People say you can't make money with this camera because of the limitations of this camera. The limitation of the camera obviously is going to be low light because it's APS-C. Also the fact that it's APS-C. Also the fact that it's a very little camera. It's like a lot of these nitpicky things that your client most likely is not going to worry about. Your YouTuber friends are going to worry about it. Maybe the filmmaking community might worry about it if you're a freelance cinematographer, if you're a freelance cam op. But most cam ops, bro, they use Sony. Like most cam ops or small businesses use Sony. Most people in clientele know the word Sony. Even if your camera is really little, they know the word Sony. So I would say that's not limiting in certain aspects. If your client thinks your camera's small and they're paying you $10,000, that's different. So rent a camera out. But you can rig this camera out to make it look like it's huge. People always ask me how big, how much money is your camera? I'm like, you wouldn't even guess it. Guess. They're like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. I'm like, no, it's a $2,000 camera body, but all this other stuff on it makes it worth that much. Because the camera looks huge. They got V-mount batteries. They got XLR ports. Dude got mics all on it. So, yeah, that's why people say you can't make good money on it. Then they say it's small. It's a beginner camera. I don't listen to none of the YouTube guys, bro. Don't listen to none of the YouTube guys when it comes to them talking down on this camera. This camera is super awesome. The color science is something, if you didn't like Sony before, you have to get used to. I didn't like Sony before, but I actually really like this. The video quality that comes out of this camera is 10-bit. It's something that you can grow into. You can grow into loving it. There's Sony AI, there's S-Log3. I wasn't very familiar with any of these terms, but the more I got used to it, I was able to find some colors or some LUTs that I really liked. I started to use the S-Cinetone actually a lot more than I have S-Log3 unless I need to, pull highlights back or really, really worry about color. But man, the fact that you're able to input your own LUTs to use that and bake it in, that's crazy, bro. So I'm definitely not understanding why people talk about why you can't make good money with this camera or why would you buy this camera over the A7 IV. I'm not a photographer, so I wouldn't buy it. But I mean, hey, knock yourself out if you're a hybrid shooter. This camera takes pictures too, so I don't know. Okay, we touched on this a little bit before. The next topic is how can you make money with this camera? Let's be brief though. How you can make money with this camera, the price point. The price point is a $2,000 camera. The camera doesn't need to be rigged out. It has in-body stabilization, 5-axis. It has S-Log3, so you definitely can pull some colors out. It has digital zoom in, so you can zoom in and not have to buy a whole bunch of extra cameras. But you can make money in charging less. You can make money in quick turnarounds. You can make money in, being with people that are in the Sony community because the Sony community is huge, bro. I didn't think it was that big or that awesome with each other, but I've met people in the Sony community who are like, oh, bro, we love you for having the camera, and the camera's $1,800. That's one way. Networking with Sony guys, just lower packages. I do lower packages, and it's easier to get the job done even with lower packages. Quick turnaround. The file sizes are not big. Easier compressed files at XAVCS, which is super awesome. They got XAVCI, but I don't even use it. I use a 125 gigabyte, a 28 gigabyte, and a 256 gigabyte card I got from Micro Center in Houston, Texas, and I haven't used any other card. I barely get to the 256 with a whole day of shooting. I got shoot weddings on this camera too, bro. I don't get through all that stuff. And I do 4K 24, 4K 60. And dude, I've completely like never used most of it. Maybe yesterday I probably used a lot because I was shooting like documentary style, but I didn't even get past the first slot. You got dual color slots, bro. Like charge cheaper. You can buy another one. You can hire somebody out to use the second one and it pay itself back. The camera's not that expensive, man. So you can make money in a lot of different ways doing what you're trying to do. Like I signed up for a wedding agency where now I work with the wedding agency. I get more jobs working with them because I'm a dedicated B camera that makes like $50 an hour. So I get the chance to do that, as a secondary compared to my business, as corporate shooter. But like I was able to leverage this camera in that position. Like I was like, hey, I got a small camera I could just use and throw on a gimbal or throw on a tripod or a monopod. Like, and it runs all day. What kind of camera is it? Oh, Sony Fx30. Oh, it matches the FX3. Like, bro, like leverage this camera. Like tell somebody if somebody wants to shoot for $500 and you are naturally at $1,500, $2,000, like if you don't want to use it, rent the camera out to somebody else. The camera rental is probably like $50, or whatever, take the job for $500 and do a quick turnaround. I say there's so many ways to make money with this camera because there are no limitations on the camera unless you're talking about low light. And buy a faster lens or rent a faster lens when you're talking about money. If we're talking about business, we're not talking about owning the product all the time. Rent the product out. Rent the lens you need. Like if I got a sports job, 50 to 100, I'm renting that. I'm not buying that. I'm gonna buy it eventually, but I'm gonna rent that right now. So yeah, man, just rent the stuff out, get the lower jobs. There's nothing wrong with taking jobs at that, that if you're new, or if you just need the money, like take the jobs at $500, $600, $700, $800, even at $200, $300 jobs. You know what I mean? Of course, work your value, but you're able to do this with this camera. You don't need to rig the camera out at $500. If you want to, go knock yourself out. You can. That's what I'm saying. It's no limit to this camera. So I'm saying that you can do a lot of things with leverage with this price point and with this camera and the codecs the camera gives you, because every editor loves Sony and every person that knows what a Sony camera is and what it's capable of. So just do it. I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with it. So make the money. So we're already talking about this, but my endeavors and my experiences I've had with this camera is like, my experience with this camera has been off and on when it comes to the colors and all that, because I definitely wasn't a Sony guy, but I was completely turned off by Sony. I really didn't want to use Sony. I really want the FX6. If anything, if I did use Sony, I want the, Ursa, the Red Komodo X. I want those cameras. But I just had a 4-month-old baby, and I can't do that right now. I can, but it's not justified because, again, man, sometimes I get the $500 jobs, but you do 3 of them in a week, hey, you got some good money. But I do those jobs sometimes, I do the 2000s every now and then, but the endeavors I've had, since I've gotten this camera has been super awesome. I've leveraged a wedding job recently where now I'm booked out for a year out, and I can ask for more jobs because it's the biggest wedding agency in Texas. So now I'm able to know how much I'm making per month, and that's pretty hard for a lot of people. I could do social media jobs. I've done a lot of them. I got a pop-up job for social media in 2 days from now, just because I'm able to say, yes, I have this camera. I have the rig out, I have rig down. So as soon as you start talking to me, rig down was immediately gimbal all day. I got 2 gimbals. So I could do that. I've done that. I've taken interview jobs. I've taken second or third shooter jobs for the Sony film line. I'm able to match this camera with a lot of cameras, or a lot of editors know how to use this camera. So I've been able to do that. I did it last couple days ago where I was a C-cam for like B-roll, and I did some B-roll shots of the interview. The first 2 A and B cams were Sony A7-4s. So I'm able to get in positions, man. FX3 guys don't get mad, even though they have FX3s. I was at a job yesterday where the guy I didn't know the guy, but I end up seeing his camera. He had an FX3. I thought an FX30, but he had an FX3. You can't tell the difference. He thought I had one too. So he was like, "Hey, send me the footage. Let's have some fun. I'd love to work with you more." He was from Miami. That's networking. But I'm able to open doors and have different ventures based on this camera. When I first got it, I was very skeptical. I definitely didn't want to shoot it all the time. But after I started shooting, man, this camera started being my workhorse. This is my workhorse camera. Like, I personally love that camera, and I've built it out where I use this camera. It's my first option when I go somewhere. Unless I really want certain color science, or I really want, it to be a big crew, I'm going with this camera. Unless I need 6K, I'm going with this camera. Super small file sizes. If I want to jump on some more stuff like 16-bit RAW and all that, Atmos Ninja 5 can do that. So that's been some of my experiences. It's just been super awesome dealing with the people in the Sony community in these experiences because they help me get more jobs. They help me when it comes to tips, all these different things. And even the Canon guys are like, hey man, come back over here or whatever. But they're talking to me. YouTube people, they click my videos because I have a Sony camera, and it's super awesome. So the endeavors I've dealt with in experience have been super awesome, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it reminds me of like being in the Red community, where Red, everybody loves you, even though people call it the bougie community, but everybody loves you, So yeah, it's just been a blessing for the endeavors I've gone through. I've had this camera for 6 months. I'll be doing a 6-month review showing you some of the jobs I've taken, some of the wear and tear I've had on the camera, but man, it's just been awesome. So, all right, now we're getting to the niche things. All right, ready? So if I had to start over, right? To be honest, the first camera I would buy is the FX30. I'm not even gonna lie, because the R7 is what I really, really wanted. But I'm not a photographer. I don't take pictures first, and then they give you C-Log 3, which is not the best in dynamic range and all that, and the best in color grading. I'd rather want the C-Log 2, which is like the C70's color range. So I would rather want that than anything else. And the R7 does not do better in the FX30 in low light. So the Luminex cameras are cool. I mean, they say it's like the best IBIS you can have out there. But I have the Blackmagic, but you got to do a lot of stuff just to even get the difference. Plus, people don't know the brand. Like, they don't know what Luminex is. Some people in the film community do, but random people know what Sony is. Sony makes vlogger cameras. They know what it is. They make NTG cameras. They make audio, AV cameras. They've been in the game for years. People who are older know what Sony is. So I would rather go with reputable than non. I would rather buy a Rolex than buy a Fossil. I mean, not to be bougie or nothing, but I would rather buy a Rolex than buy something I've just seen randomly and only people that really buy watches know what that is. I wouldn't buy that. I would buy something that I know I'm going to get a job for because I want to make the money back on the job. I don't want to just have the camera because I like it. Somebody said, if you want to be an artist, don't get in business. If you want to be in business, don't be an artist. And I know I'm an artist, but I'm in business. So I'm going to buy the camera that everybody knows about, that people use, because I have a camera sitting on the shelf all the time that's Blackmagic design, because a lot of people have a problem with Blackmagic design or they don't use it as much. But when I'm working with the Red shooters, they're always asking me to, bring a Red out. Even though I don't own a Red, but shoot, I'll rent it out. I have a friend who'll rent it out to me. And I'll get a Red and I'll go shoot some stuff, But that's not often. But the Sony guys, because they're hybrid guys, they're always shooting something. And it's always longevity, so it's always a good check because you're always shooting for 6 to 8 hours, which is amazing for me. So that's a great check. Or you're shooting something that's run and gun and it needs to be something, or you need to match something. Like, people use Sony all day. So personally, I would buy Sony as soon as I started. I wouldn't do anything else. I mean, if I wanted to be a cinema guy, I would go another way. Of course, that's the way I went. But I would throw the Blackmagic camera in the trash. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying it's a bad camera. As a business owner, I would go Sony. That's just how it's going to be. You guys can be mad and talk about it in the comments, but that's just how it's going to be. I would get that. Like, I spent $2,000 on my Blackmagic, $1,100 on this camera I'm using right now, and then $1,800. I would take all that money and buy 2 FX30s, and I would buy all Sigma glass because it's APS-C. That's what I would do if I had to start over. That's exactly what I would do. So if you're brand new or you're a beginner, buy the FX30 and invest in another one. The best always to match the sensor, because I'm always matching the Blackmagic to this sensor when I AB. So, man, buy this camera twice. All right, next topic. The question is, what would I do in the future? In the future, I want to buy another one. I want to buy another one because the jobs that I'm taking aren't super huge jobs. Hopefully, God bless me to take some jobs that only require either the 6K or, a Red camera or Sony FX6. But in the future, in the near future, I would like to buy another FX30. In the distant future, I want to buy a FX6. if Sony's community allows me to keep growing in their community and growing in their network, I would buy the FX6 because that's something you can pay off. I know everybody's raving about the Komodo X. My wife even was like, buy the best camera. Don't buy a red Komodo, buy the Komodo X. I think it's a justifiable, pay, but I don't know if I would get all of the payments all the time like I'm getting with the Sony camera. I'm working with this camera. You guys don't shoot. If you follow my Instagram or YouTube, like I'm working constantly because the camera is my workhorse. And I don't know if the Komodo would be the same, I know it would be, but I would have to rent it out. It'd be gone. I wouldn't be able to rent it. I wouldn't be able to have it all the time. That's a $10,000 camera. It takes $15,000 to turn it on. So it's like, well, I need to buy two to use one and rent one out just to make the money back. I mean, it just depends on how you want to make money. I like to hustle. I like to have cash in my pocket now. I like to work with clients. I like to work with the community. I don't really like waiting on jobs and they be, oh, they're big. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still take those jobs, but like, I don't like waiting on them. I like growing and networking. I like having fun. I like always shooting. And the Red Komodo is not a camera you always shoot on. But the FX6, people use that for AV, NTG. So I would probably buy that because that camera is a workhorse. I would wait for the FX6 Mark II, but that camera's a workhorse. I really want it. I like it. I know somebody personally that has it, and they love it. They've been shooting on it since it came out, but I'd have to see where my pockets were before I bought that and justified that purchase. So right now I'm just waiting. I'm just running out these mirrorless cameras in the 6K until, I get to that next level. But that would be my upgrade. All right, now I'm going to be a little nerdy. Even though we've been a little nerdy, but I'm going to be a little nerdy. What upgrades would I want in this camera business-wise? So everybody always talks about it. I would love ND filters because I hate screwing on ND filters and they get stuck. And then I have 72 millimeter thread, and then I always get that stuck on my ND filter, and that's hard to take both of them off. So I would love to have ND filters in this camera. I would love to have RAW in this camera. I would love to have 12-bit color science in this camera naturally. I love the fact they put 4K DCI in here and true 24 and true 60, I think, and like true shutter. But global shutter would be something I would definitely want in this camera because I yesterday I got so mad. I shot in 60p, but at 50 frames a second, 50 shutter speed. I looked up. I was like, damn, I can't slow this footage down. So it was cool, but I was like, man, if I use like cinema cameras so much, I forget that's not a 180-degree shutter rule. So I would love global shutter. I would love to fix the rolling shutter, and I would love to have 4K 120 that's not cropped already and that's not ugly. Because they say the 4K 120 is really ugly. I don't shoot anything at 4K 120 that's really ugly, but I would really like that feature if I did take a job that required 4K 120, like a sports job or something, because I want to get into that eventually. I would like better low light capabilities. I would like it not to be 2500 in the second base ISO. And the first ISO is pretty high. It's at 800, which is not bad, but I would rather 2500 to be like 3200 or 4500 ISO. I would rather take that than anything else and just learn how to clean the shadows up or something. But that's really what I would like in the camera. It's a lot of stuff I would nitpick on the camera, like the grip of the handle, maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe some more screw ports, especially some of the ports are too like the screw ends on top of the body are actually too close to each other to put certain handles on there. And I would love an actual like RE screw that's like the big 3/8 one and not the 1/4 one, because it's great to have 1/4 screws, for small things. But like if I want like a really good top end, like the tilted one, like I have a tilted one on here with the airy plate, I would love that on top of the camera so I didn't have to rig it out. Because I actually rocked this camera before I had the smaller cage. No, the newer cage. Which is this? Bro, I don't know. I just bought the thing. But I would love the 3/8 quarter on top of the camera so I can do what I'm doing right now. I would also love that. I mean, I like APS-C, but I wish it was full frame. Don't get me wrong, I wish it was full frame, which is the FX3, but I'm not paying for that. That's basically it. Somebody told me that their fan always goes out or something like that, or their fan overheats. I don't know. That's never happened to me. I also don't shoot in like 115-degree weather, even though I'm from Texas. Even if I do, I really don't run the camera too high. I turn the monitor off, you know, and then I put it on the actual monitor I have, which is the 2200 nit monitor and stuff like that. The battery life does suck. I'm not gonna lie. So when I run my gimbal in a couple of days, I'm gonna have to bring a V-mount battery to charge my camera while I'm talking to people because the battery life does suck. And I hate the fact. One thing I big hate. I hate the fact that it needs power delivery. Like, I like that it has USB-C, but the power delivery, you have to be very specific on what USB-C port you put in there, and you have to be careful because you can break that USB-C port. So I really wish that they would just have like regular USB-C, you know, charging and not just power delivery. I know that's supposed to be for making sure that you don't overheat the camera or break the camera, which I do love that feature, that if you plug anything in the camera, it won't even charge it because it's just trying to make sure it's not going to break the camera. But I wish I didn't have to buy the Condor Blue one and wait 2 weeks for it to come in, even though I got it. It works really great. But yeah, I just wish I didn't have to do that. So, but that's everything else, man. I really like the camera. I like the tally lights. I like the whole camera. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna do a 6-month review and talk about the things I like the best and review the camera and review the wear and tear I have on the camera. But overall, the camera's great for business. You know, you guys really leverage your business. You really help your business grow by making the right financial decisions. And if you need to buy smaller lenses, APS-C lenses, you need to make sure you have a smaller camera that does the things it needs to do. This is a camera to buy. So really make sure your business investments make sense and that you're networking with people in this community. Don't just buy cameras because, oh, the camera looks good, or the YouTuber said the camera's going to be great, because you might not even use the camera. And that's the thing. You might pay, even on finance, you might pay the camera $500 a month, but you don't use it, and now you can't pay the finance, and you have bills to pay. I got bills to pay, and I got a wife, so, and 2 cars and all this. I got stuff to pay for, so I need to justify my payments, and that's justified as payments. It's made itself over tenfold, man. I worked this camera off. It's made itself like every month. It pays for itself times 5. So I love the camera. I wouldn't change it for anything else. As a business owner, I made a great decision. The Blackmagic camera, sometimes I was looking at like, man, I think it was a bad decision to pay for, but when you're hungry and you want to upgrade in life, that was my first real upgraded camera. I loved it, and I still love it to this day. I love the image. I do get jobs from it. I'm traveling to Memphis next week just to use that camera on a big production. So, and they're paying for everything, you know, so I'm super happy that I have both cameras, but the FX30 just beats the 6K Pro every time when it comes to the workload and how to get the job finished and turnaround rate, you know, and all these different things, these features that you can do within the camera. Like, man, I think you guys should buy it. It's going to make you a lot of money. It's not going to not make you money. It just depends on what you do, but really it doesn't, because even as a wedding filmmaker, because I shoot weddings as a B-cam op, I just buy faster lenses. I have the 85mm 1.5, a Roku Cine lens, and I just bumped that bad boy all the way to 85 to 1.5. It's a crop. It's 120. So in the reception, busting, like, you know, or 2.8, and I get it to 800 ISO. It's good. So unless you're in the middle of the night trying to do stuff with no lights, it's not gonna work. But it's still gonna work, bro. So the ISO probably sucks the most. But man, the camera is amazing, and I wouldn't trade it in for the world, for real. I don't know what camera would have changed my life. I know it definitely wasn't going to be the R7. So I'm going to down to Canon right now and say, Canon, you're losing the game. You did great with the vlogging cameras. You did great when you tried to step into the 4K 2024 with no crop, but you dropped everybody at the R5 and R6 when it started to overheat. I don't think anybody bought a camera after that from Canon on that level. The C70 is amazing. It's amazing. 10 stops to Indy, of course, but Canon, I think you lost this race, buddy. Sony is beating everybody. Luminex is coming up right behind it. Fujifilm is probably right behind Sony, so I think Fujifilm is probably in the second place because I have a homeboy named Marcus. I follow Marcus Films for sure, but I know for a fact that Fujifilm is probably beating Luminex too. So Sony's leading the race. So y'all stay tuned for more videos. Appreciate y'all for watching. Make smart decisions. Be great business owners. Be great business negotiators. Make you some great money and have fun when you shoot. And stay being an artist. All right? Appreciate it. Peace. Like, comment, subscribe before I peace out. Like, comment, subscribe before I peace out. Like, comment, subscribe now. Peace out from One Shot Nas.